What's going on, family? This is Inspired to Be Great, and I'm your host, Ron Miles. And first off, family, like always, I want to thank you for downloading the podcast. Thank you for tuning in. Like I said, you can find us on iTunes, Stitcher Radio, Blueberry, Podbeam. I just want to tell you, like I said, thank you so much. We appreciate everybody that's leaving their comments, their ratings, their reviews. Remember, continue to subscribe, continue to click follow. Just simple, put in your email, and everything will just go from there. But once again, I just want to tell you I appreciate you and thank you. But today, family, we are going to be talking about where's your focus or what's your target. What exactly are you setting your goals on? I mean, everybody has to have some, right? Don't get me wrong. I know there's people who never set any, who just take each day as it come and they just kind of go through the day. But you notice it's something common about those people. None of those people who don't have successful habits have a successful life. They just have your typical average life. If they're lucky to have an average life, a lot of them probably are still living with people or living off of people. You know, they're not actually making the necessary moves to have their own. They talk a big game about having their own. They talk about what they want out of life. But at the end of the day, when it's all said and done, they're going to make excuses as to why or who or what held them back, or what was the reason why they weren't able to obtain a certain status, or what was the reason why they weren't able to grab certain things and take hold of them and latch on to opportunities and make the best of them. Why? Because their mental mind state is broke. It's been, and I can't even say it's broke, it's programmed to think and act a certain way. They've been trained. Just like if you go to the military, you become trained. Just as you hear some people who've been in jail a long time, they say they institutionalized. They have a habit, a way of living that they mentally have locked themselves into. And that's the same thing in life and in business. If you want to grow, if you want to become better, if you want to utilize every bit of your being and be the best person that you could possibly be, then you have to train your mind. Your mindset is so key. It's a part of you that's going to help either crush you or it's going to have you soar like your eagle as high as you want to. Why? Because your mental mind state is what makes up most of your actions. Like I tell people all the time, it's 90% mental and 10% physical. Just about any work you get yourself into, rather it's your career, rather it's you being an entrepreneur, rather it's you just taking on a side job, a hobby, whatever it is, most of the time it's not that physical, it's the mental part. Even when it comes to working out, losing weight, all of that stuff is more mental. Why? Because you have to train your mind to tell your body, this is what I want to do. This is what I want to get out of it. This how far we want to go. You know what? We only done 12 yesterday. Today we want to do 13. You know what? We only ran 5 miles yesterday. Today we want to go 5.5. We want to go 6. It's about pushing, but how do you push the body? You have to make it up in your mind. It's kind of like I hear a lot of track coaches. My dad ran track when I was little and I heard him talk about it. I have a daughter that's interested in track, but I hear a lot of track coaches say, run through the tape. Run through the tape. But see, our mind frame is when we see the finish, we automatically start to slow down. We automatically start to relax. Why? Because we're not prepared to run through the tape. We haven't trained ourselves mentally to run through the tape. But you have to train yourself. You have to build yourself up to say, you know what? I am prepared to run through the tape. I am prepared to go further than where I went before. I am prepared to have more than what I had before. I'm prepared to take it all in. Why? Because I plan on running through the tape. And that's just key. It's key to understand that. Hold on. Yes, baby. So you have to, like I said, mentally. You have to mentally be prepared to run through the tape. And how do we do that? It's by recreating our mind, retraining, reprogramming, however you want to put it, family. It's about getting the mind ready to go, getting the mind ready to push through, to make it through the end of the tape. Not stop when we see the tape, not slow down. Because why? We have to have a winner's attitude. We have to be willing to win at all costs. We have to be willing to see our goals, see our dreams come to fruition at all costs, no matter what it is. So, like I said, how do we do that, family? First off, start writing down. And like I said, I know people probably say, you always talking about writing something down. I'm telling you to write it down. Why? So you can always have a journal to look back on to see where you started from and where you're going or where you're at now. So you need to write it down. Start making a list of what is your bad habits. What do you think that's costing you in life? What are some of the things that you do that is costing you? Is it the way you talk? Is it the way you see situations? I mean, because your perspective on the situation will cause you to think a whole certain way. The way you hear certain things and perceive what people are saying is going to change your whole outlook in that relationship with that person. So you need to start grasping and getting an understanding of those things. Listen. I tell everybody, family, you have greatness on the inside. If you have a gift that nobody else have, yes, somebody else may be doing something similar, but nobody has your particular gift. Nobody can do it the way you can do it. But it's up to you to want to pull it out of you. It's up to you to want to put it to use. And the problem is too many people get afraid or too scared to, and they don't put it to use the way they need to. Like I say all the time, where I'm from may have shaped me, but it was my grind that has made me. And a lot of people will make excuses. Well, I didn't have a father. I didn't have a mother. I didn't have a good upbringing. We were homeless. We were poor. Some may say it's because I've had a too good of an upbringing. It's because I never had to do anything on my own. It's because I always had somebody to catch me as my safety net. It's always and see that's the thing. People like to make excuses pointing at other people and reason why other people didn't made it, when other people can have different problems but the same mental locks in their brains that's keeping them from going further. Some people are just afraid to succeed. Why? Because they feel their successes will point out other people's failures. And if they point out other people's failures, it may make somebody upset at them. Well, that's something that person has to deal with, unfortunately. I'm not saying you're not wrong for you succeeding, nor are they wrong for where they're staying at. That's their choice. But you have to make the choice in your mind that you're going to push through the tape, that you're going to go further, that you're not just going to start to slow down when you see the end of the tape or when you see that you're coming close to the finish line, but you're going to run through it. Why? Because you want to do it and make record time. It's about beating yourself. It's about beating the goals that you set for yourself, family. Second, you have to have a plan. You have to know where you're going. You have to have it written down somewhere, something that's going to constantly remind you where you headed. Even if it's pictures you start hanging up on the wall. But it's more than just hanging things up. It's more than just writing it down. It's actually having action steps. Today, I want to do X. Tomorrow, I want to complete this. The day after that, I want to complete this. And start writing it off, checking it off. Why? Because you want to have action steps. And don't try to make the goals too lofty. I'm not saying your end goal can't, but your interim goals should be short. Why? Because they will make you feel as if you are accomplishing something. Not so much make you feel, but you are accomplishing something each and every day. And which every time you accomplish something is getting you closer to your end goal. Point. Like I said, we started a business about a month ago, a little over a month and a half ago, registered with the state, done all the things we needed to start our corporation. Works perfect. Within about 3 weeks, we got issued our first business credit. Then like a week after that, the second one came along. Then before you know that, the third one came along. But why did it happen? Because we took the necessary steps. It's just not, oh, I registered with the state and I started a business. But no, it was a lot of in-between steps that you had to do. Registering with 411, getting your Duns and Bradstreet number, going through some of the business owner steps and classes that you could take online. It was a lot of things done step by step, and it was just about knocking it out day after day, not trying to necessarily cram everything into one day and feeling overwhelmed. So my point is, family, make the necessary steps, write it down so you can make the necessary steps to get to your goal. And don't make your goal, I have a 6-month goal, then I have a yearly goal, then I have an 18-month goal. I like doing mine in 6-month increments. You have some people who like to do theirs in 30-day increments, some in 90-day, some yearly, whatever floats your boat. The reason I do 6 months because each month I have something that I want to have accomplished by the end of that month. But I have an ultimate 6-month goal. Why? Because once I achieve that 6-month goal, I know I'm on to the next tier. and I feel more accomplished. We doing a lot now, from the podcast to the videos to the membership site. It's a lot of different things that we have going on. Why? Because they were all things that were planned out and talked about before, but they all took different times in getting it set up and getting it going. So don't feel rushed. Don't feel like, oh, I got this big monkey on my back, I have to get it off, I have to do it. No, take your time. Take your time and walk each step out right. Why? No, you may not walk it perfectly. No, everything may not take off the way you want to. You may have some setbacks. That's a part of life, family. But at the end of the day, you're taking the necessary steps to get to where you want to. And that's the goal. The goal is getting you where you want to, letting your dreams come to fruition, letting your goals happen, letting your business ideas come out of you. Don't take those things with you to the grave. Don't. You have too much inside of you. You have too much greatness, too much that somebody else is willing and waiting to hear. You have to push it out of you. You have to be willing to say, I'm going to do a little bit more. Even if you're working a 9 to 5, okay, that's perfectly fine. You at work from this hours to this hour. Well, then, before I go in, I want to accomplish X, A and B. When I get home, I want to accomplish C and D. And you know what? Even though I may have time to do E and F and all those, you know what? Nope, because why? I want some time to let my brain relax. I want some time to let my body relax. Let me be comfortable. Let me come back at it. Now, if you feel like you're ready to go after it, then go. If that means you got to get up a little early. And see, that's another thing when it comes to where's your focus. People are not willing to sacrifice. Most people won't even sacrifice a TV show. And the crazy part is you can record them now. You can pause them to do things, but people don't even want to sacrifice. I got to see my TV show. Why? Because I got to tweet about it. I got to get on social media and let everybody know I seen it, and we got to talk about it for an hour. And you just wasting time. You know how much time people waste just looking at their phone on social media? To me, it's like another trap to keep you where you're at in life. See, where's your attention is where your focus is, and where your focus is where your life is going to be. So if your attention is wrapped up in TV, some people want to sleep. Some people will raise your hand. Be honest with yourself. Are you a proud dozer? What I mean by that, you hit that snooze button on your phone when it go off, or on your alarm clock. You just trying to grab an additional 5 minutes, additional 10 minutes. Get up. Don't let that time go to waste. Why? Because you have a vision, you have a goal, you have places you're trying to get to. Don't sit up here and forsake that time. Take it for granted and just say, oh, I need this. Train yourself. Train yourself. If that means you got to go to bed early and miss that show, hey, go to bed early, miss that show. You could record it. You could pause it. If you can't do that, you got everything from the Fire Stick where you could pull it up. I mean, there's so many different options of why you're still stuck on watching TV instead of getting out and living your dream, or why you constantly want to sleep in. Or some people, like I said, some people want to party and drink. They can't miss the next party. They can't miss that next drink. They got to go out with their friends. You have to be willing to sacrifice those things if you want to get to the next level, family. You have to be willing to sacrifice them. You have to be willing to let those things go. Why? Because if those things aren't pushing you in the direction that you're going, all they're doing is dragging you down to a place you don't want to be. Then you're going to wake up and say, what happened? Where did all the time go? I thought I should have been here. Let's be honest. How many of us had plans by 25, by 30, by 35, by 40? I want to do X, Y, and Z by this age. I want to have this. And then you don't have it. And so you just slightly just make a little excuse or kind of put it off on the back burner and act like you never had those goals in you. You never had certain intentions in you. Why? Because you become accustomed, you've become trained, you've become programmed to just saying it doesn't matter. Your life does matter. Your goals do matter. If you don't live them, who's going to live them? If you don't go out and attain them, who's going to grab them? You have to fight for what you want, family. You have to be willing to sacrifice. You have to make up your mind. You have to fight the fight in your mind and say, you know what? I'm going to the next level. I want more out of life. This is not for me. Like I say, write down the pains. If you stay right where you're at in life, what's some of the pros to it and what's some of the cons? Will you be helping yourself or will you be hurting yourself? If you continue drinking the way you do, smoking the way you do, partying the way you do, watching TV the way you do, sleeping in the way you do, what's some of the pros that you're going to get out of that? Besides a good nap, a good time for a night. That's not going to pay your bills, family. That's not going to set you up to leave the legacy that I know you want to leave. So be honest with yourself. Be real with yourself, family. And go after your goals aggressively. Dream big, go after them aggressively. Don't let where you from make you. Just let it help shape you. But let your grind make you. Let your grind determine where you're going. Let your determination have a place, have a say-so in your future. Let it have a say-so in your future, family. Don't just let it control your future. Don't just let it say where you're going. But family, it's hard for me to get it through the way I want to of how important it is to have your mindset change, have a plan in place, and be willing to make sacrifices. And I promise you, family, you will get to the other side. You will get to the next level. You will get your goals accomplished. But you, Y-O-U, have to be willing and ready to do the work. It's not easy. Too many people just attracted to getting fast money, getting a handout, having somebody give them the scoop, letting them in through the back door. Sometimes you got to wait out there in line, wait your turn to get to where you want to go to. Sometimes you got to drive through the dirt, take a back road or two. Sometimes you got to create your own road to get to where you're going. But it's the fact that you're in action mode and not in waiting mode. Everybody talks about being a boss and being in charge, but nobody wants to do the work that a boss has to do. Nobody wants to do the work that a king has to do, that a queen has to do, that a person that's willing to make decisions that's going to change not only their lives, but their families' lives, but generations to come lives. So you got to have a dream that's including your generations to come, not just your right now and here, but those that's here to come. So they will have something to fall back on. So they will have somebody to look back to and say, my grandmother did this, my grandfather did this, my uncle did this, my aunt did this. Make your mark, leave it, and let those who love you talk about you. With that being said, family, this has been another great podcast with Inspired to Be Great. I thank you for listening. I thank you for reaching out to us. I thank you for you just being who you are. Remember, family, you could get in contact with us on our Facebook group page at Inspired to Be Great, or you can reach out to us on the website, www.ronaldmiles.com. Stay tuned. The Inspired to Be Great website is on its way, along with inspireyou.com. But listen, family, remember to follow, remember to subscribe to us on iTunes, Podbean, Stitcher Radio, or Blueberry. And greatness only happens when you make good the enemy of great. I talk to you, family.